Hello everyone, this is Miss Charo from American Inside Out Evolution Upper Intermediate. Welcome to this channel. In today's tutorial, I want to share with you a new activity from the student book Unit 3, page 28. Let's start with the reading. It says California. California is a state located in the west coast of the United States. You may relate California to the Golden Gate Bridge or to Hollywood, the biggest movie industry. The Golden State. California is considered the Golden State because they found gold in California, and it was the reason why the gold fever started in America. Glossary or vocabulary. Let's explore some words. It says sit. Sit is to give control about something or somebody. Sparsely, a small quantity of something or people. Deluge, a very large quantity of something. Prospector, a person that looks for gold. Perils. Peril is danger. Perils, dangers. Crude, something very simple. Let's go back to the PowerPoint. California, the Golden State. The idea and image of gold has historically been associated with the state of California. So when people thought of gold, they thought of California. The official nickname, the Golden State, was perhaps inspired by the fields of golden flowers which bloom in spring. So in California there are many fields of yellow flowers which open in spring, and it gave the name of California the Golden State. And the gold discovered at Sutter's Mill in Coloma also is the reason why California is considered the Golden State, which prompted the California Gold Rush from 1848 to 1855. Well, Gold Rush means that people ran to California looking for gold from 1848 to 1855. Coincidentally, in 1846, 2 years before gold was discovered in the territory, the narrow entrance to the San Francisco Bay was baptized the Golden Gate. Well, to get into California, you have to pass through San Francisco Bay, and people gave a name to that place, the name of Golden Gate, as a premonition, thinking that San Francisco, California would become a very important place. Although the literal and figurative golden era has long passed, although the golden era has finished, California still captivates people's hearts and minds today through industries like film, television, and technology. As we said, California is related to Hollywood, the biggest movie industry. Some history. What is now the state of California was once part of Mexico and was ceded to the United States in 1848 at the end of the Mexican-American War. So, California in the past was part of Mexico, but it lost because of the American War. And since 1848, California is part of the United States. Up until this time, so before 1848, the land of California was sparsely populated settlement, with a handful of immigrants arriving by sea or overland up until the 1840s. So before the Golden Era, California was populated by people from Europe and people from Mexico, but not many. This all changed in 1848 when the discovery of a few nuggets of gold prompted a human deluge. So when they discovered gold, a lot of people went to live to California. People streamed west from across the United States and even from overseas in search of a fortune. The population exploded from a few thousand to over 250,000 in just a few years. So gold was the reason why California had a huge population since 1848. The gold rush, or people running to California to look for gold. In January 1848, just days before Mexico was to cede the territory to the United States, James Marshall, working at Sutter's Mill in Coloma, noticed something gleaming in the river. So, James Marshall, who worked at a mill, discovered something shiny, something brilliant in the river. His suspicions were confirmed. He had discovered gold. So James Marshall discovered gold in Sutter's Mill in Coloma. The news spread like wildfire. Everybody learned that there was gold in California. And by 1849, miners and prospectors were flooding into the new territory. Were going in huge quantities to California. Many took the risk of the dangerous cross-country trip. So to go to California in those times, as there were no ways, no routes, it was dangerous. And despite having difficulties and perils of dangers of disease and death, people, they had hope of finding fortune and riches. These miners and prospectors, these people were called the 49ers, in reference to the year in which the rush to California started in earnest. These adventurers came to California in search of opportunities to make a fortune for themselves and their families, which they left behind back east. So the people who went to California from the east of America and from other parts of Europe in the 1849s were called the 49ers. These people looked for adventures and for fortune. The sudden and large influx of gold brought about the gold rush, transformed the American economy, and forever changed the Californian landscape. So when people ran to California, the economy was transformed, and also the land. At the center of this transformation was San Francisco, strategically located on the coast. What was little more than a crude village in 1848 was transformed by the 1860s into an important center of finance, trade, and manufacturing, with the opening banks, the developing of San Francisco port. So, what place benefited the most in California was San Francisco. In San Francisco you could find banks, shops, and industries. You may remember that the jeans were made in California. Well, San Francisco port and the completion of the Pacific Railway, which had its most western terminal in the city of San Francisco. So there was a train, and San Francisco had a terminal where the train started and finished. California today. Today, the state of California continues to hold people's fascination. Although the gold rush ended in 1855, the state continued to be a magnet for those seeking fame, fortune, and success. So today we don't have gold in California anymore, but people are still attracted by California. People go to California to look for fame, fortune, and success. Today, California is the home of Hollywood and the birthplace of the booming technological industry. It is the most populous state with the largest gross domestic product (GDP) in the United States. It is here where the hippie movement originated in the 1960s and is home to the best-known and prestigious public university system in the United States. So California today has Hollywood, technological industry, and one of the largest universities in the United States. This diversity of culture, business, education, entertainment, and innovation is a reflection of California's rich and variety of history and peoples which make the Golden State what it is today. Now, let's go to some questions. Activity 1. Read the article and explain the links between the following. You may read the article again in your book, and you're going to connect these names with these concepts. For example, 0. President James Polk. We are going to relate this to the second idea. President James Polk was the 11th President of the United States. He served from 1845 to 1849. Now, look for the answer to California and number 2, James Marshall. I'll give you a minute. Let's check. So, California is known as the Golden State, and the idea of gold is closely associated with the state because of the gold rush, the Golden Gate Bridge, the golden-colored poppies which grow in the spring. James Marshall was working at Sutter's Mill in Coloma when he discovered gold in the river. Well, with this we have finished this video activity. Thank you so much for watching this video, and see you in the next video. Bye bye now.